God.
Yeah, I just need to go buy like a Netgear nice router to cover this apartment and just cover the whole apartment in Signal instead of dealing with whatever Frontier brought me. Since apparently it can't get Signal from one floor to another.
Yeah, my desk is off balance for some reason. I probably need to get underneath it and reattach some screws.
Just shove a magazine under there. It's fine.
Right? Roll up a napkin. That's fine.
No, it's the desk. It's the desktop. Like it's separated from one of the legs.
Yeah, just fold a napkin up, shove it in there, it'd be fine. Let's see. What did I get up to this week? Sunday was fun. With the emotional roller coaster that Sunday was.
See, I liked it.
I enjoyed it.
That was yet another game where I just kind of stood there and watched.
It was one of those things
that.
where we did something, and I said that I would absolutely never fucking do in a D&D game, and we did it anyway, and it didn't go as bad as it could have. And I'm just gonna leave it like that. It was like I said on Sunday. It was definitely a calculated risk, letting you guys play with the deck of many things, but I couldn't think of another way for you guys to get in touch with death other than that. So that's what we went with, and yeah, well, we're not gonna do that again.
See, when you said that what's your face pulled out a deck of cards, my immediate thought was, okay, well, there's no way this is a deck of many things. He's never going to do that. So what could this be? And then it turned out to be the deck of many things.
Yeah, you guys got off lucky. I think the worst thing was the character reset that Rojan got.
I think he needed that.
Again.
He basically got literally baptized and like, okay, reset.
That's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, but see, I was enjoying Sorcerer.
Not anymore, you ain't.
I was packing a lot of power with Sorcerer, and now I'm either a fighter or a barbarian.
Yeah, so that was fun.
The positive experience that I got from that is that you guys no longer have any right to shit on Crest for the things he's done, because you guys were throwing cards around like they were friggin' candy.
Oh, please, Crest would have flipped all of them over at once.
Just to see what they were.
Well, yeah, but it's the point.
Let's see what else is going on. I think so far this week, that's all that's going on. Saturday. Saturday the 17th from noon to 8 p.m. we are doing a charity event here on the channel with myself, Animated Break, Danotage, Smashley, Spooner Sloth, and Mickey Panda. We are raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Yeah, noon to 8 p.m. PST. It's not my fault the rest of the world's on the wrong time zone. But yeah, it's going to be ridiculous, and I'm really hoping that I can shake this sinus infection or cold or allergies or whatever the fuck this is that has my head pounding every morning when I wake up before Saturday. But we'll see.
I'm excited to see that dungeon that you made for the joke.
I have to go fill that out, like flesh it out with encounters sometime between now and Saturday. But it's not so much a dungeon that I made for the joke, it's just the fact that I added another dungeon just so I could make the joke. But it's going to be, if you go in and expect Lord of the Rings level seriousness out of that show, you're going to get Monty Python. And that's probably being generous. You're probably going to get, what's Adventure Time?
Always Sunny.
Adventure Time. Like, it's just going to be ridiculous and fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's been very hard not to like spoil things for people. The only thing that I've told anybody is that they are chefs, and I'm just leaving it at that. So come see what chefs in D&D do on Saturday and support children's cancer research. So tonight, this is the second episode of Keelhauled, which I'm excited for. This is our cast, hence why they're in these panels and on the show in the first place.
Just visiting.
Yeah, they're just hanging out.
Seat holders.
Yeah,
We're exclusive viewers.
that's right. No, this is the cast. I'm gonna DM it, and then these guys are going to play in the piratey world that we created last week. We went through and we talked about some legends and some artifacts and some pirate crews and kind of factions and all kinds of fun stuff last week. And we did a lot of world building, which gave me lots and lots of fun things to work with. This week, we have kind of 2 points on the agenda. The first one is going to be the pirate code, at least for your crew. This could be totally different for a different crew. This could be something that they don't subscribe to. You don't really have any way of knowing until you run into them. Because, as everything with pirates, it's just more of a suggestion anyway. The second thing we're going to do this evening is we're going to roll characters. If you guys have not... If you've never played D&D or you're new to D&D and you kind of want to see how character creation goes, we're going to be rolling D&D characters. The only kind of difference is I've given them limitations on the classes and the races that they can pick, and they're kind of building their characters within that. That's the only real limitation that I've set on them, because the world that they are playing in is very low magic, so it didn't make sense to have a sorcerer available to them who can fart fireballs at birth in a low magic world. So that's kind of some. I've just gone, all right, you can't really play this class, or this class doesn't make sense in the setting. But other than that, like, they have free reign to be able to create their characters from the pool of classes and races that I gave them. So pirate code for your crew. How do we want to do this? Do we want? What do you guys think? Like three tenants, or what are you thinking?
What I was mentioning to Mags before the stream is if we want to kind of start with a foundation of something that actually existed, I have a write-up of code of conduct, essentially, that Bart Roberts had on his ship in like the 1700s or whatever it is. And there are 11 points in there. I can drop that in Discord if everyone wants to read over it, and we can kind of look at that and then
why don't you just
add or
read
subtract
it,
as we want.
Read through it on air, and then so we can kind of talk about the points, and chat can talk about the points and see how we feel about it.
Okay, I'll drop it in Discord and then I'll read it out here.
Now, if we're all a part of the same crew, is anyone here captain, or are we under a captain?
You are under a captain.
Okay.
You will not start out with your own ship, because I feel like that's a good adventure path to give you. It's definitely, you guys are playing a pirate crew. It's at some point that's going to be a goal. But yeah, I feel like if I start you off with your own ship, that just kind of that eliminates one of the goals for the crew. So I feel like it would be better to have you under a captain.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I just wanted to clarify.
The code is there in the Keelhauled channel for
I remember this.
Atlas Rain, yeah, I'm gonna drop it in a paste bin, and then I will drop the link to the paste bin in.
Number 1 is every man shall have an equal vote in affairs of the moment. He shall have an equal title to the fresh provisions or strong liquors at any time seized, and shall use them at pleasure, unless a scarcity makes it necessary for the common good that a retrenchment may be voted. I think that one's fairly self-explanatory. Number 2 is every man shall be called fairly to turn by the list on board of prizes, but if they defraud the company to the value of even $1 in plate, jewels, or money, they shall be marooned, and if any man rob another, he shall have his nose and ears slit, and be put ashore, where he shall be sure to encounter hardships.
So that one's kind of a mark of shame, like if having your nose or your ears slit, because it's something that like you can't really get rid of easily, and everybody kind of understands what that means at a glance.
Yeah, you're being physically branded as a thief, essentially, and that's going to make your life a lot more difficult in the future. Number 3, which is one I personally think we should get rid of, is none shall game for money, either with dice or cards.
Oh, no.
No gambling?
Gamble!
I can see why it's on there, though.
I can see why it's on there as well, especially for a large crew. But since we're a small crew, I don't think it's necessary to have those types of rules.
Yeah.
As long as we don't have to bid in years served.
You know what? Ooh. I'm gonna add
No.
some-
God
No,
damn it,
no, no, no.
Raven.
I just
what you
I
did.
just
Don't give
thought
him
about
ideas.
something. Talking
Pirate
about
Barbara Yaga.
no, talking about betting and everything and pirates. I think I'm gonna borrow something from Blades in the Dark. And those of you that play Blades in the Dark with me probably already understand where I'm gonna go with this.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give your characters are gonna take a vice that they have to indulge in.
Yes.
Alcohol.
And it's going to be one of those things that like you have to indulge in it. I'll have to figure this out and figure out how to make it work. But I think like any time that you come into port will be something that you have to indulge in. So I think we'll borrow that from Blades in the Dark because it's a fun.
I like that.
That's
one.
fun.
It was a fun like storytelling mechanic that got your character into more shit and more trouble.
It was, yeah.
And I think it would work well in a pirate setting. So I think we're gonna borrow that.
So moving forward with the code here in number 4. Again, I think this more applies to a large ship and a large crew. But number 4 is the lights and candles shall be put out at 8 at night. And if any crew desire to drink after that hour, they shall sit upon the deck without lights.
That was more, well, if I want to go historical, that was more precaution for not being caught at night.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah,
that
because
makes sense.
You're out like for that one. You're out when these were written, and it was the Spanish Armada was out looking for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so a small ship with a crew of just a handful of people aren't going to be that far out at sea, so they don't have to take those precautions.
Yeah,
But
and the
you're a
area
giant
that you're
ship.
in is pirate infested. So most of the ships that you're going to encounter are either going to be merchant ships or pirate ships.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that you need to take those same kind of precautions.
Yeah.
So I'm good with you guys nixing that. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
writing these down. I figured we would talk over them and you guys would sum up what
Yeah.
you wanted at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking just this is kind of a starting point, and
Sure.
then we make our own off of this. So number 5 is each man shall keep his piece, cutlass, and pistols at all times clean and ready for action.
Seems reusable.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like even if you're not a pirate, I think that's a good one to abide by. Number 6, obviously one that we're going to nix here. No boy or woman will to be allowed amongst them. If any man shall be found seducing any of the latter sex or carrying her to sea in disguise, he shall suffer death.
Yeah, women on ships were bad luck.
Yeah.
So
And we are a mix of
yeah,
genders and species, so that's obviously
yeah, we
not
can get rid of
apply.
that. We may want to like take a depending on you guys' thoughts as the crew, take a modified version of it and no child should be amongst them. So if it's something that you guys are like, you know, this is absolutely, we don't want any kids on the ship, then yeah,
Well, I
maybe
mean,
that's a
Yeah,
thing. But
I'm
Children are devious and a pain in the ass to take care of, and we're trying to run a ship.
I'm perfectly okay with kind of drawing a line for ages or at least maturity levels.
Like 15, 16 was a man.
I think what I don't want to say not okay with because that's not the right phrasing. I think what I'm tired of is a division in gender in stories. I think it's so overplayed and overdone.
yeah,
And I understand why, because hello, history.
there's a historical precedent
yeah.
for it,
But
it's
it's
in
it's
worlds that we're
just-
creating, there's no point in having it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless
I
you're-
agree. I agree, unless there's a story
Don't-
plot reason
Don't
for
we
it.
have a
but-
pirate queen already?
Yeah. I mean, if there's like a specific race in a setting where its history has those type of things, okay, well, yeah, don't throw out an entire race's history just to change that. But I don't think it's something that we need to introduce.
Well,
I think it's unnecessary.
And this is going to get me onto a soapbox that I'm going to attempt not to stand on for too long. But it's also one of the things with tabletop RPG communities as a whole is there's a lot of gatekeeping. And you see like horror, like literal horror stories of people that are at conventions and a woman sits down to play and is treated less than the males at the table. And that is absolutely not something that I will put up with on this channel. Like, we want to be
Yeah.
as inclusive as possible, and I'm super happy that we have females on our cast. We have people of color on our cast. We have different sexual orientations on our cast. Like, that makes me happy.
Yeah, and
so-
I like to see that on a cast and also in the
character.
game
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
That inclusion rather than the division.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm going to get off that soapbox now because it's something that I can go on about for a little bit, and I don't want to do that. Because I
me
don't
too.
want to
It's
derail
easy
us.
to hop on the soapbox
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah.
So moving on. Let's see. We're on number 7 now, I think. He that shall desert the ship or his quarters in time of battle shall be punished by death or marooning. I am a fan of that one personally. I like it.
I am too.
Like, oh, you went and hid in a corner. Well, you're now stuck on a desert island.
Yep,
Yeah.
Keelhauled.
exactly.
Ah.
I see what you did.
Number 8 is none shall strike another on board the ship, but every man's quarrel shall be ended on shore by sword or pistol in a duel.
Yeah.
I like it.
I also really like that one.
And I could see reasoning behind that one because if you're on the ship, your goal is to crew the ship for the betterment of everyone there. If you let an argument play out on board, then that's not good for the crew morality. It's not good for making sure the ship is in top condition to be able to fight or run, kind of given the circumstance. So that makes sense.
And number, whatever that is, 8, 9,
Nine.
number 9.
9.
No man shall talk of breaking up their way of living till each has a share of 1,000 pounds. Obviously, that would be gold in this sense. Every man who shall become a cripple or lose a limb in the service shall have 800 pieces of 8 from the common stock or lesser, and for lesser hurts proportionately. So that one was exactly as it sounds. The crew had their freedom, but they weren't allowed to leave unless everybody had an equal share. And if they got injured, then they'd take from kind of the treasury and give to that injured person who could no longer serve, so then they can move on and live their life.
So I read that and understood that one differently. And I want to give you kind of my interpretation and see kind of what you think. So it says, no man shall talk of breaking up their way of living till each has a share of 1,000 pounds. So to me, that says you are on the ship until you have 1,000 gold. At which point you can leave the ship, but you are indebted to serve out your not sentence, but your time on the ship until you have 1,000 gold. If you become cripple or lose a limb in service, we'll go ahead and give you 800 towards that 1,000 gold. But if you're still below that 1,000 gold and you're crippled, then you continue to work the ship.
It could absolutely be done that way, yeah.
So I kind of read and understood that one a little differently.
I think in the historical sense, when somebody got injured, they kicked them off the ship because of the risk of disease from that injury. But that's not obviously something that we have to necessarily deal with. So we could still kind of imprison them on the ship until they have their 1,000 gold. It works for me.
Whichever way, I was giving another interpretation because you guys are going to write your own rules. So I was giving another interpretation of what it said to me and figured that would just kind of spark ideas.
Yep, absolutely. So the next one has to do with the division of loot. It says the captain and the quartermaster shall each receive 2 shares of a prize. The master gunner and boatswain 1 1/2 shares. All other officers 1 1/4, and private gentlemen of fortune, which is just the basic crew, 1 share each. So I don't necessarily think that's going to apply too much to us unless we have specific roles on the ship. But it's just something we'll have to see, I guess.
I guess for now, in the meantime, just equal share.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, again, applies more to a large ship. The musicians shall have rest by night, or by right on the Sabbath day only, on all other days by favor only. So if people don't know, larger ships had, like musicians were a mandatory thing on these ships. And playing every single day was mandatory for those musicians.
They lifted morale.
To not do that job, they were punished rather harshly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially if it is. I mean, your only job on the ship is a musician. Then you're not tending to the rigging. You're not tending to the sails. You have to make yourself useful by playing every day to boost that morale. So that makes sense. But yeah, so those are historical rights, or not rights, rules of a ship. Sorry, who did you say?
That was from Bartholomew Roberts, one of the most successful pirates in history.
So that was 11 kind of rules for his ship. What do you guys? Let's start at 1 for your rule of ship.
I'm all about democracy.
Yeah, everybody should be able to get to vote. Like, I say we go to Wyvern Cove. Everybody's like, no.
Yeah, and I think kind of in the tune of that, if we're sailing by somebody and one particular person on the crew has like a grudge against that person, and they take it upon themselves to fire the cannon as we're sailing by, that's a big no-no. They're going to be punished for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go. Let's step back and talk about. So you guys are talking ship democracy. I'm gonna nix that one just because of the adventure that I have planned for you.
You jerk.
So I'm gonna go ahead. I mean, when you guys get your own ship, like that might be a rule that you can add to the ledger. But for the ship that you're starting out on, I'm gonna just go ahead and say no.
This isn't a democracy. Democracy is a dictatorship.
So
you have a captain for a reason.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Mutiny.
Yep.
I mean, you could try.
Mutiny is on the list today.
That's how we all banded together. We decided to pull a mutiny.
Yep.
Yep.
Let me know how that works out for you.
We're gonna take a rowboat and stick a sheet on it. This is our new ship.
I like it.
So actually thinking about this and thinking about the adventure that you guys are starting out on, we may be doing this a little preemptively. Now that I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit more, maybe this is something we need to revisit in character once you guys actually get a ship.
Okay.
So I think that thinking this through a little bit more, that's a better idea. So we may be a little too preemptive here. There are some known laws and general laws for this island that we never named. So you guys need to help me come up with a name for islands, because if I come up with it, it's going to be Island Bob. And
No.
and B, we need to come up with some general laws of piracy.
Definitely a respecting specific territories. If you're caught in someone else's territory, you are subject to that pirate domain's laws.
I feel
I
like
think that should be fun.
I feel like territories and states lines and things like that are one of the things that pirates are trying to get away from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that that's something that would really fly very well.
Well, not so much like a state line, but you know how some places just have strongholds.
Yeah. If you have a captured stronghold, but I mean, it's not illegal for somebody to come sack it. They'll just probably die in the ensuing fight. That's kind of the point of a stronghold, was like, come get it if you can.
From the looks of it, like most of the pirate factions that we made last week seem to be all based around some form of controlling commerce.
They were.
And and I think in that sense, that's where their turf is located, is in whatever commerce that they're situated in, while others may try to fire up some sort of like gambling hall or whatnot. The tieflings are always going to be the powerhouse in that situation.
So maybe, and Mags, I just realized I never sent you this, so I'm sending this to you now. So maybe instead of law that you can't go out and do these things that others do, there's a tax that's implemented on certain actions. Like if you are, I'm looking back at our notes here, if you are running somewhere something that does mining, right? and that's mainly, or coral mining specifically, because that's the dwarven domain that we talked about. You have to pay a stipend of your profit to the dwarves. If they catch you doing it and not paying, then they have the right to go in and maim and dismember.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so all right. Okay, and that's just kind of, these are kind of general agreed upon laws for the island. And like I said, it's one of those things that, yeah, if you can get away with doing it and not getting caught, then more power to you. It's a pirate thing, but if you get caught, then that's kind of on your head. What else? I'm trying to think as well. I think if your charter takes you to the northern wastes of the island, that snowy area that we talked about, it has to be logged. Because if you die out there, you're potentially adding fuel to whatever undead army is out there, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like there's somewhat of like a border patrol or some sort of faction up there, keeping records of who is going up there for whatever reason.
Yeah, just so that if you don't come back, then they can just assume, okay, well now that army has 5 more
Take up
souls.
a crew of 100, come back with 10.
Yep, it's like, oh, there's 90 more corpses up there.
Yep.
That keeping track of who comes and goes in that area could also perhaps be a job of whatever these guys here were called, the White Lotus dudes.
Oh, the white, at Whitehold.
Since they kind of are enforcing.
Yeah, they could have like a small contingent that's like based right here or something that kind of tracks who comes and goes around that entire area up there.
Okay.
I dig it.
So that brings us to another law, is respect. There were 2 factions that we came up with. It was the White Lotus and somebody else. Was it Slayers?
Yes, it was the Monster Hunting Guild, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So just kind of respect the rights of the White Lotus and the Slayers.
And basically stay the fuck out of their way.
Yeah.
Much.
I'm kind of really like wanting to keep these super light because it's one of those
It
things
allows
that
for
it's,
a lot of flexibility.
yeah, and it's pirates. They're not super
yeah.
strict on rules.
And they're more like guidelines.
Parlay, if parlay is called.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one.
Okay. So that, I give us one more, so we round out at 5.
No turtles allowed.
Hey,
Actually, that's a good point. I think there should be something in place that protects the merchant flotilla.
No hijacking the traveling.
Sort of like the healers.
The merchant thing, especially with the turtles on it, was kind of one of those things in my head where it was already heavily like guarded. So it was one of those things that there's not really a law that says you can't do it. It's just a bad idea.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You're welcome to try.
Like, yeah, and I'm sure people have, and there are probably wrecks of their ship somewhere because they're on the back of a giant dragon turtle, so their ship can already attack back. The turtles themselves, like, not wearing any armor, out of character metagame stuff, their AC is already 17, not wearing armor. So, I mean, if you could go fuck with them if you really want to, it's just not. It's going to be a bad time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense for them to want to try because, hey, if you can get your hands on free goods, you have the advantage.
And I'm sure some crew somewhere drunken one night has attempted to do it. And you probably know stories of several crews that got too big for their britches kind of thing, and tried and failed miserably. Let's see. Look at some of the, because we talked about legends and stuff. Trying to think of like, oh, what was it? No, it wasn't the Slayers. It was the ship repair. It was the shipwright faction.
Yeah, the shipwrights.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah,
Slayers.
like
it was shipwrights.
you can't touch the shipwrights.
So the shipwrights are those that are out repairing boats and everything, and attacking them while doing that is kind of bullshit. So I think for the good of the colony, and this might be or the good of the island, this might be one of those things that diseases are immediately quarantined if not marooned. Disease carriers are quarantined if not marooned. But I don't know how you guys feel about that.
So kind of like having like some sort of like quarantine barge or something that's around the island.
I mean, we could do something like that, or we could just have a leper colony somewhere that they get dropped off at.
Either this kind of islet here, or perhaps this little bit here as well. Either of those two locations would work.
Yeah, right here is like right next to where the Kraken is, or the Kraken is supposed to live.
Yep.
So
and I don't think we had anything sussed out for right there, so that might be a leper colony.
Yeah.
okay, so disease carriers are I want to say
Leslie,
sentenced, are exiled to the leper colony until such time that they can prove that they are without disease.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, it's one big island. If everybody gets sick, that's it. We all die.
This is why you vaccinate your kids, people. All right, I'm not going to get on that soapbox either. Okay, so we have 5 kind of general laws that the island governs itself by, which is pay your share of your tax, log your trips north, respect the rights of the White Lotus and the shipwrights, if parley is called, and then disease carriers are exiled to leper colonies until such a time as they can prove that they are well.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think what we'll do then is we will go ahead and we will take our first break a little early this evening, and we'll come back and we will start with character creation. And character creation, we're gonna do the normal D&D character creation, and then I'm gonna get to ask you, like my favorite part, because I get plot hooks and all kinds of fun ideas, is ask you about your character and stuff that they have on them and their backstory, and that's fun for me because I get to snatch little pieces and toy with it and then bring it back to haunt you later with it.
Good
So
time.
you guys are hanging out with us as we do character creation tonight, and we talk about this world. Oh, you know what we didn't do is we didn't name the island. So I am, like I said, if I name it, it'll be Island Bob. So somebody help me out with Island Bob because that doesn't roll off the tongue real well.
I'm running a island name generator.
Oh, God.
And one of them that popped up that I liked was the new key. Let's see what else can we get here.
I like the new, but maybe not key. Maybe it's a new country. Like there's for a fucking terrible example, you have England in the US. You have New England, so it's I kind of like that idea, but
Mexico.
but maybe not. I don't know.
New Cholt.
New Cholt.
New Australia.
Cholt Plus.
No, because the more I think about the way this island is, it's like, Cholt is Australia, and this island is Tasmania.
So,
Oh, God.
Barbados.
Barbados.
No.
No. No.
Nice try. No.
I agree with Atlas. Yep, totally.
New
Oh
Canada.
my gosh.
It's not cold enough for New Canada.
No.
See, I'm thinking like directly just stealing from an actual language.
Yeah, go for it.
New Terrassa. Terrassa is, I think, a place in Barcelona, and it's basically a word for land. So it would just be new land.
New Terrassa?
Yeah, Terrassa.
Yeah, I like it. It shows like the simple creativity of pirates as well. New land.
Yes.
Okay. New Terrassa. I like it.
We will go through this land and we will call it this
This
land.
land.
And now I'm sad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Don't worry.
How do reavers clean their spears?
No.
They put it through the wash.
No. Let's go on our break now.
Yep. We will be back in about 5 minutes, folks. Thanks for hanging out and putting up with our PTSD from Firefly. We will be back in about 5 minutes or so. Thanks for hanging out. All right, we're back. Welcome back,
Yup.
everybody.
Hey, Meow. Meow.
Hello. So, before we get into character creation, I did want, for those watching who may go, why aren't you making X class and X race together? Want to go through real quick and talk and kind of go over the ones that we said are allowed, just so that they kind of know if they weren't here last week. As soon as I can remember where I put that list, I'm pretty sure it's in Google somewhere. Yeah. So, for you guys that are watching, we're going to do character creation, which means rolling dice, coming up with stats. Going from there, one of the things that I do as a DM is give them the ability to start at level 3 because levels 1 and 2 are boring as fuck. Without me, like, sugarcoating anything, that's why. A rat kills you at level 1, a kobold kills you at level 2, you're an adventurer, you've been around for a little bit, you assume that you know that the pointy end of the sword is the side that you hit them with, so we're going to make them level 3. And it's where all the classes begin to get their unique traits, because really there's not a whole lot of difference between a rogue and a fighter at level 3. There just really isn't.
And at this point, I'd like to remind everybody of the time that Impious put us in the Underdark at level 1.
How did that go?
But why?
Wait, wasn't it Underdark at level 1, Barovia at level 1?
No,
at least Cholt, got
Barovia
level
was
3.
at level 3.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Barovia may have been level 5. I don't remember. It's been a while since I ran that game. But yeah, I forgot that I actually did start you guys at the Underdark at level 1, and that went terribly for you.
I want to talk about it.
So, but yeah, to go over the classes that are available to them. Again, this is a low magic campaign. So we mixed a lot of them. We mixed a lot of the magic using classes. So classes that are available are Barbarian, Bard, because you got to have somebody on your ship that sings. It's a mandate. Blood Hunter, which is a class that Matthew Mercer, the GM for Critical Role, created on his own. So it's not official D&D canon, but I threw it in anyway because it's a pretty neat class. Cleric, Fighter, and Rogue. So Cleric and Bard and Blood Hunter are the 3 in there that use arcane magics. Rojan has a super loud keyboard.
Sorry.
So with those 3 classes and using those arcane magics, well, I guess Cleric's not arcane. Cleric is holy magic. But either way, magic is shunned by the pirates. Whether it be because of factual basis or just kind of one of those things that pirates shun, it is. And so and I know that we have some characters or some players that are going to play some of those classes. It's kind of one of those things that you don't do out in the open. You do privately, or you try to do it when you think no one's watching, kind of thing. But those are the classes that are available to them. The races that are available to them, because I kind of wanted to get some things that fit with our pirate theme, and to be honest, Drow doesn't really fit with a pirate theme, and it's just kind of one of those things. Drows don't like sunlight. Pirates spend lots of time at sea in sunlight. So I kind of went through and handpicked which ones were available. We have Dragonborn, Dwarf, Goblin, Hobgoblin, Human, Lizard Folk, Orc, Tabaxi, Tiefling, Turtle, and Triton. So those are what everybody got to kind of draw from for their characters. And I know that you guys have something in mind already, at least for race and class wise. So I'm just going to go around and you're going to kind of tell us what you have. And Zora, what do you have in mind?
I am going to be a tiefling blood hunter.
Tiefling blood hunter, I like it.
Specifically, the lichen.
Okay. So
Curse of the lichen.
Now I have 2 blood hunters with Curse of the Lichen in my games.
Oh, all right then.
HB Fox's Sunday Night character is a hyena, a were hyena.
Ooh.
So interesting. All right.
That's awesome. It fits with my character's story. That's why I was either that or the Ghost Slayer, because Ghost Slayer sounded really cool. But then with my character's backstory, I'm like, oh, this sounds better.
Okay, and I may get with you, and we may play with that Lycan curse a little bit more than what's kind of in the class, just to get interesting things going. But we'll do that off camera. Okay. HP Fox, what did you have in mind to play?
So I'm going to be playing a bard, but I'm just going to disappoint all of you immediately in that he doesn't sing, he doesn't play instruments.
Well, what the fuck are you a bard for then?
The reason why he doesn't do that is because he's also a lizard folk, and they have no use for the arts.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know how I do with characters. I do the thing, and then I do the opposite thing.
You do the thing and then not the thing at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so which subclass are you thinking for your bard?
I'm going to go with College of Swords.
College of Swords, okay.
Or
Which is
Swards. I'm sorry.
Swards. Boston. We're Boston boys. Okay, so College of Swords. And I think they're less magic-y anyway, and a lot more like finesse with their weapons and stuff.
Yep.
And like maybe use throwing knives and spin a wheel spin a girl tied to a wheel and throw daggers at it, kind of thing. And more of like a performance than really like a musical aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rojan, what are you thinking for class and race?
Because you're allowing it, and it's been forever since I've been wanting to play this, I am going to be a Tortle Barbarian. And I'm specifically taking the Path of Storms.
Are you... I almost want to ask if you're taking a classical painter name and wearing a mask.
I am not, but I am taking a name from Ninja Turtles.
All right. Mags, what are you planning on playing?
Tiefling cleric, because somebody's got to keep your asses alive in the grave domain.
And so you're a grave cleric?
Yeah.
You're not going to be keeping anybody alive. She's just going to let you die and then resurrect you as a minion is what she's going to do.
Extramancers, just late healers.
Hush! Don't ruin my plans.
So what you're saying is I'm going to be able to be one of those like skeleton lizards from Divinity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, totally.
All of a sudden, this cursed crew is getting a lot more interesting. Ravens, what are you planning on playing?
Oh, I've been sort of hovering between two ideas, but I think we're going to go with option A. I'm going to be running a Dragonborn. Color is going to be determined as we go here through character creation. But I'm going to be going for the idea of a Lancer.
Okay.
So big two-handed spears.
So fighter, probably?
Yep. Definitely fighter.
Great weapon fighting, probably.
Great weapon fighting is going to be mandatory for what I'm doing. And probably Battlemaster. I was really liking that idea.
Okay. And Battlemaster is definitely one of those like super strong fighter trees. So that will play out real well. I like it. All right, so let's roll some stats. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you roll your stats one at a time, so that way we kind of know who's rolling what. The way that I do stats, and for you guys watching at home, different DMs have different ways of rolling characters. So this is just kind of the way that I do it. There are people that do point by. There are people that do averages, and it doesn't feel random enough for me.
There are people that do
Point by.
Point by let's allow. I'm gonna get back on my soapbox for a second. Point by allows too much min maxing to me, honestly, and it's a good way to like cheat the system. And averages make boring characters. So the way that I do this is you're going to roll 4d6 and you're going to drop your lowest result. And there's a macro in roll 20 that I will type out for you guys so that you guys know how to do this. And you type that in minus the period at the beginning, and that will automatically give you the result of your 4d6 with the lowest one removed.
Oh, cool.
The other thing that I do for games is I go, all right, if you roll something below X value, just don't count it and re-roll it. Normally, for my games it's 10 because normally you guys are playing heroes and kind of you're already better than the average person and 10 is average. For you guys, because I want to introduce a little bit of flaws and a little bit of like kind of there are definitely some things your characters are going to be weak at. I think we're going to do anything that is below 8 reroll, which doesn't give you a whole lot of wiggle room. It's 6 and 7. I don't know why I blinked on that, but no, I guess it would be 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, in the case that you rolled all ones somehow. So if you roll 8, 9, 10, or above, then you keep the roll. If it's below 9, then just go ahead and re-roll it. And we'll just start with Zoro and see what kind of roll she comes up. Oh,
We need character sheets.
I
There
was
you
just
go.
about to say.
I've been looking for one and I
There
was
you go.
asking.
Well, I can roll at least, and then
I have them. I just haven't assigned them to you. So hang on just a second. I'll get that done, and then you'll have a character sheet where you can do all this. The other kind of aspect to this is there are 6 stats on a D&D character sheet. You have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So ideally you would be doing this 6 times. This needs to actually be updated. And those would be your stats. What I'm actually going to give you, because I'm nice, while you're doing character creation anyway, is that I'm going to give you 7, and you can drop your lowest overall. So you're going to roll 46, drop the lowest one. And you're going to do that 7 times. And then you'll drop your overall lowest one. And the 6 that you end up with at the end will be your 6 stats. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And everybody should have character sheets assigned now.
No!
I had them created, I just didn't assign them to you. So they were there.
they were there all along.
They were.
It's good enough.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
We pop these out.
You can.
You can.
There's a tab at the top left.
Wondering if it was safe to do that this time.
Oh, this time.
So Zora's going to go ahead and roll her stats for us first, while
Okay.
everybody watches on putting the spotlight on her. 12? Nice.
Typing this down too, so I don't forget.
Now, I'm sorry, my brain didn't catch this.
No worries.
Are we can assign the stats as they roll to whatever stat we wish, though.
Yep, you can put them wherever you
Okay.
want.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. 17.
Nice. I know where that I'm putting that one.
One below max.
Ooh.
That's a reroll, right?
It is a reroll. There's that 4 we were talking about.
I was
So I
like,
guess
wow,
the lowest
that's-
actually would be 3 that you would get.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Mama needs something higher than 12.
That's 4 or 5
Okay, there we
stats
go.
there that you're keeping.
So 2 more. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And one last
Okay.
one.
All good.
And a 9. So you can drop the 9 because it's your lowest out of those 7. And so you end up with a 14, a 15, a 12, a 12, a 17, and a 12.
Yes.
All right.
Cool.
God.
That's functional.
So yeah, it's an
That's good. No, that's
average
decent.
character that excels at one thing in
A
particular.
lot.
Yeah. No, that's good.
All right, HP Fox, you want to roll your stats for us next?
I can do that.
I should probably pull up the Blood Hunter PDF.
There we go.
Yeah, especially since it's a brand new class and I'm still learning it. And Critical Role's kind of helping me too because they have a character in there now with Blood Hunter, but they haven't gotten to level 3 yet. So it's like, oh, I'm kind of learning. Oh no, they are level 3, I think.
Woo!
Yeah, season 2 of Gibbering Mouthers, we have somebody going to be playing the gunslinger from season 1 of Critical Role.
Oh, nice. Makes sense.
Strength.
That should raise some hell.
Oh, crud! It doesn't even give me the option to change my class because it's technically not on here.
Let me go add it in there for you. Hang on.
Whoa!
There's that 18.
Damn.
goes. Let's see.
Okay, so I can drop one of the 2 9s that I rolled.
I,
So that's not too bad.
I can add in a homebrew to the sheet. Hang on just a second.
You
here.
editing my sheet when I have it open?
I am.
Well,
That's awesome.
While he's doing that, just in case anybody in chat missed it, the numbers that I rolled for my stats are 14, 9, 12, 14, 18, and 10.
It's fairly decent.
That's
Pretty good.
decent. Those double 14s.
Yeah, and that 18.
And
And that
yeah.
18.
Oh.
Well, we might
Hello,
know where that's
charisma.
going in.
Oh,
You are a
yeah.
very charismatic lizard.
You're
And yet
shitty.
not charismatic in the musical sense.
You're a shiny lizard.
like the fish from Rainbow Fish, except a lizard.
Exactly. There you go.
Okay, now your blood hunter should be set up.
Oh,
properly.
cool. Yes, thank you.
All right, and Rojan, go ahead and roll your stats for us.
All right. Let's see if I get better rolls than I did with Alexis.
No.
No.
Off to a fantastic.
Right off to a good start right there.
That's average. That one you can drop.
Or re-roll.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll
10, 13,
re-roll to a
14.
14.
Yep.
So that's what? 3 stats?
That's 3.
4,
Yep.
5,
Nice.
6, and 7.
And drop the 11. One of
Yep.
them. Yep.
So what do we got here?
Atlas Rain, it does. The color of the Dragonborn dictates what kind of breath attack you
10,
get.
13,
Yeah.
14.
And
It also very heavily can dictate your alignment because Dragonborn do pull the alignment from their parents.
Yep. And so the easiest way to identify that for dragons and Dragonborn is that metallic colors are evil. And
No, metallic colors are good.
Oh, you're right.
flat
I always get
colors
that
are
back.
evil.
I always get that backwards. You're right. So chromatic colors are good, and then metallic. Yeah,
Try again.
I got that backwards again today.
Come on, you
Chromatic